conversation with Prakash Padukone. Welcome. Thank you for giving us your time.
My pleasure.
Now let's talk about your early years. Tell us about the place where you were born, Udupi Padukone.
Well, I was born in Bangalore. I started playing at the age of 7, and I used to play in a marriage hall because badminton was not very popular, especially in the southern part of India. Not many people know about it. There was another sport called ball badminton, which is very popular.
Right.
Played with a yellow woolen ball. It was a sport played only in India. It was not an international sport.
Right.
So that sport was very popular in the southern part of India, and badminton was played more in the northern, western, and eastern part of India, especially in the 50s, 60s, 70s. 60s was when I started. So ball badminton was very popular. In fact, if you went to any of the southern cities and said, "Do you play badminton?" it meant ball badminton.
Okay.
So that was how popular. This was called shuttle badminton.
Right.
So you had to call. Some of the older, players, older people, when they meet, they still ask me, "Do you still play shuttle?"
Right. Okay. So how did you get into playing badminton?
Yeah, my father was instrumental in in introducing me to the sport. Actually, he studied here in the 50s. So he saw a lot of badminton here. Moved in the mid 50s on work to Bangalore, originally from Bangalore.
Yeah.
So he had seen a lot of badminton here in the western, especially in Mumbai. So a lot of foreign players used to come from Denmark, Indonesia, Malaysia. Right. So they used to have a lot of events in Bombay Gymkhana and Cricket Club of India, CCI. They were very old badminton clubs in those days. So when he moved to Bangalore, there was no state association. So he formed the first state association in Karnataka for the state. So that's how badminton originated. In Mysore, and then the other states also, in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Kerala. But it was only in post 1980 that the southern states the game became very popular. Otherwise, there were hardly any facilities. When I started, playing, there were only about 4 or 5 courts in the whole of Bangalore. 4 or 5 courts. Now I'm told there are about 3,000 courts.
Oh wow!
So that is how the game has changed, and I'm extremely happy to have played a small part in the development of Indian badminton.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now tell us about how was it like in your family, a typical day in the Padukone family?
Like any other family, it's not very different. Of course, Deepika stays in Mumbai. She moved almost 15, 17 years back. So second daughter Anisha stays with us. Otherwise, it's a normal. I'm not full time into coaching now. I handed over the day-to-day running of my Prakash Padukone Badminton Academy to my colleague Vimal Kumar. So I'm more looking after the planning and in the development. So I go to the academy twice a week. Otherwise, I work from home. So work for about 3-4 hours. So very relaxed. I go to the gym 3 times.
Yes.
I do yoga twice. So try to keep in touch.
Yeah.
I'm very fond of food. So so to have a good meal, then you need to work out a little bit. So.
So you said your father is because of who you got into badminton. Now, I mean, usually when you're growing up in an Indian family, they emphasize on studying. You didn't have that. Like they were not like, "Nahi, padhai pehle karna hai, fir."
No, I think that was a major difference. I think I'm very grateful to my father. He gave us the option. Actually, me and my brother both were playing badminton. My elder brother, who's older than me by 2 years. So we were the national junior champions. So when he finished 10th standard, so he was good in academics. So he said, "I want to do engineering." So he said, "You go ahead." I finished my 10th. By that time, I was already the national junior champion. So he asked me, "Would you like to pursue engineering or medicine?" I said, "No, I want to do," because I was very passionate about badminton, and I was already the national junior champion at the age of 16, which was actually for under 18 was the category. So I was above average, and at 16, I won the national senior title also. So junior and senior together on the same day.
So at that time, that this is what I want to do. I want to be a badminton
player. So, but that time there was no money. Even internationally, there was no money in badminton. So my father said, "It's up to you. You are most welcome to pursue badminton, but at your own risk, because I could have got into the best engineering or medical colleges on sports quota. We have sports quota in most of the states. So because I was, doing well at the national level, I could have walked into the best engineering or medical colleges, but I was so passionate about sport, and I was not so good in science. Commerce was, my the go-to subject.
Good subject.
So father said, you're most welcome to pursue, but we'll not be able to help you. So I said, no, fine, and I didn't know what the future would be. I was so, fond of the sport, so passionate about badminton. And, I was also doing well. So, I didn't look too far ahead. I didn't know what would happen after 10 years, 15 years, So I was happy with, I said, let me take things, 1 year at a time. And so that's when I started focusing, and at the age of 16, when I started thinking of taking it full time.
Now, it's great that you got encouragement from your family. That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
But
I think, especially in those days, almost every parent would, want them to go into academics.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because we are not talking now. Now, at least there is a slight change.
Yeah.
Like many parents are willing to put their children into sports, especially if they are good.
Yes.
But because internationally also there was no money in badminton, so we didn't know what the future was. I mean, ultimately you have to look after your future as well.
Absolutely.
Because your sporting career is only till you're 29, 30,
so that's the
32.
thing. Like at that time where no one really was playing badminton in India, and then you were so adamant that yes, this is what I want to do. Where did you get that from?
I think
no examples. Did you get any?
No, I think I was. There was nobody to look up to, because there were a lot of other players playing, players like Nandu Natekar, T.N. Seth, Suresh Goyal, so a lot of other players who were doing reasonably well at the international level. But I was happy, I was sure I immediately after finished my graduation, I joined a bank. So I had a job that way, but not a very high-flying job.
Yeah.
But I was also recruited for sport. So I said, let me see what I could do in badminton. Luckily, things went well.
Yeah, fell
and
into
when
place.
During my career, the game went open. I finished my graduation in 1974, and in 79 the game went open, and prize money came in, and so after that, I think it just one thing led to another.
Where did you get that inspiration from to just keep going,
I think that is just self-motivation. And I think nobody forced me, or I just wanted to try myself and challenge myself and see, what I could do, despite, there being, not, the facilities were not good, there were not enough, infrastructure, or a lot of problems were there. We had to face a lot of challenges, difficulties, hurdles.
Yeah.
There was no proper circuit in terms of equipment, and we are talking of pre-liberalization days. So many of you, many of the youngsters will not even know the situation was very different in the 70s and 80s. So for everything we had to struggle. Even for calls or telegrams, or to get visas, to arrange tickets. It was not easy at all.
Yeah.
But I liked the game so much that I just decided, and I said, let me see what happens, and I think the rest is history.
You went from Bangalore to Denmark.
Yeah, that was after the All England. I won the All England in 1980, and I became a professional because the game had gone open the previous year. So I had to move to Denmark because being a professional, I couldn't have lived here.
Yeah.
And because of the difficulties I mentioned, I spent a lot of time just taking care of my logistics, because there were no companies or event management companies to take care of. So I moved to Denmark. So I had a full-time manager there who would take care of everything else. I just had to focus on playing, and also he got me a contract. I signed a professional contract with one or two of the firms that I was playing for a club. So like I said, I had to look after for my future also. Financially also it was a fairly good
decision to move to Denmark.
A good incentive for me compared to what was available in India at that time.
Right.
So I moved, and I lived there for 6 years.
6 years, okay.
Yeah, from 1980 to 86, and we came back after that.
Right. Now, what was the most defining moment of your career?
I think undoubtedly the 1980 All England victory. I think All England, those days there was no World Championships, official in badminton at least. The first World Championships was introduced only in 1977, but prior to that, anybody who won the All England was considered as the unofficial world champion. The World Championships itself, had not gained recognition. All England was much more popular, and it was the toughest event also.
Yeah.
So, for any badminton player, winning the All England would be like...
How did that feel when you actually won it?
Oh, it was a great feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I started, at age 7, I didn't even think, it was not with the intention of becoming a champion. It was just that I liked the sports. I just playing, kept on playing. So at 15, 16, when I started taking up seriously, even that time I never imagined that I'll even play in the All England,
Yes.
let alone win, because things were not. But
Not
things
as easy.
happened. I just kept training hard and went through a lot of hardships. But that didn't discourage me from. So I just kept at it.
Yeah.
And let me see whatever happens.
Yeah.
So of course it was always one of my ambitions to win the All England, but I was not sure whether I'll be able to do it, because the Indian had done it before, and India was not a force to reckon with in badminton. There were,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
even though it was an Asian dominated sport, it was more of China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore.
You in fact started the revolution.
Yeah, you can say that. I think 1980 I think was a landmark year for Indian badminton, not just for myself but also for, like I said, for Indian badminton. So I think that from being a minor sport, it became a major sport after my victory in the All England. So and I'm happy for the way the game has grown over the years.
Yes. Now let's talk about Rudy Hartono. We know your admiration for him, and then you beat him at one time. How did that feel? You obviously look up to someone, and then you eventually go on to.
Well, I must confess, he was probably not at his best when. Of course, he did win the World Championships later, 6 months later, but he was definitely not at his peak. So it was a great, great moment for me because I think first played against him in 1972 or 73 in Mumbai itself, in Bombay, in one of the tournaments in Bombay Gymkhana. I was just a junior. I was about 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So as a junior, so they used to have invitation tournaments here. So I think it was in 1970. So, I just lost to him 3 and 4, and I was so impressed with his game. He was, I think, I would consider him the greatest, badminton player of the world. Yeah. Of course, now, afterwards, after it's become an Olympic sport, then, there are Lin Dan and Lee Chong-wei, there are other players who have, done equally well. But let's say pre-Olympics, because, earlier badminton was not a part of Olympics.
Yeah.
So we can divide that, pre-Olympic and post-Olympics. Yeah, pre-Olympic, I would definitely, undoubtedly, Rudy Hartono was the greatest player. And post-Olympic, there could be, other contenders also. He won, 8 All Englands, 7 in a stretch, 7 in a row. And so.
And at that time, that must be
so it was a great feeling when when I actually played him in the. I think I beat him twice. Once in the Swedish Open the week before the All England, and also in the All England.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, out of all of your opponents, who did you enjoy playing with the most?
Who I enjoyed, who did not?
You can tell me both.
Well, Lim Swee King probably was the toughest competitor because he was very fast, very aggressive. Mine was more of a little, compared to him, it was more a defensive game.
Right.
Mine was more tactical, more, intellectual compared to, more of strokes, more of style, grace, deception, and his was more physical. Most of the others were all playing, they were very physical. So I think it was a good mix. Unlike these days, like when we were playing in the 80s and 90s, different players had different styles. So it was, one style trying to compete with the other.
Right.
So I think there was a lot for the spectators to look forward to.
And what was your style? You were more defensive?
Yeah, more defensive and, of course, not very defensive, but compared to them, yes, but more accurate, more of deception, more of style, very economical movements. So, more of the mind than the body. So, whereas they were very physical. So I had to, more of think tactically and see how I could, make them play at my pace.
Right.
So it was more of, that kind of a style.
Yeah. Now, to what extent did your family play a role in your career? Until how long? Were they always very supportive?
Yeah, very supportive. Like I mentioned, I think my father, of course, was mainly responsible for.
And how did you feel when you were going abroad and achieving so much?
Well, they were happy. I was very happy. And the rest of my siblings also, my mother, everybody's played a major role. And post-marriage, my wife has been, great support.
And how did you balance family and then badminton at the time and touring? How did you balance that life?
Well, luckily, the circuit at that time was not as strenuous as it is now. Now this, I think every week there is a tournament. So we used to have tournament, but it was not as crowded as it is now. So it was comparatively easy. A few smaller tournaments we would skip, make sure that it was not just to be with the family, but also to, as part of the plan, we would play 2 or 3 tournaments, then come back, recover, rest. You have to train for a little while and play again another 2-3 tournaments, at a stretch. So that was part of the planning. So I was able to manage, spend enough time with the family, and unlike cricket, or we are not away for 3 months or 4 months, 5 months at a stretch. So like maximum 3 weeks, and then you come back. At least in those days, in the 80s and 90s, and you are at home for 2-3 weeks, train.
Okay.
Then again go for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, family support is important. Now more on the revolution that Prakash Padukone has started, but after a short break. When it comes to the best sports watching experience in the comfort of your home, trust none other than LG OLED TV. LG OLED TV gives you the feeling like you are sitting in the stadium. Welcome back. I am in conversation with Prakash Padukone, who is a pioneer and an icon for Indian badminton. Did you enjoy living abroad while you were playing?
Yeah, I think it helped my game, yeah. I knew that I would definitely come back to India after I retired. But I learned a lot during my 6-year stay in Denmark, not just on the court, off the court also, the way they live, their punctuality, they're so disciplined, their simplicity. There are no servants there. Everything you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So that all the things, and there's no difference between men, women. So everybody does all the work. So I think it was an eye opener, and it has really helped me, at least personally. When we came back to whatever we learned there, not just on the court but off the court as well. It has helped us to lead a very normal life.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's good to know. Which is your most cherished win?
You can say later part All England, but initially I think I won the junior and senior title together at the age of 16. So as a junior, I think that would be, I think it is still a record. So, it's not very often that, as a junior you win the senior also. Nowadays, of course, a lot of kids are doing that, not necessarily in badminton, but in shooting, because they start very young. And they're doing exceedingly well. Yeah. But as a junior, I think my junior and senior victory, winning in the same year, and in the senior, the All England victory. Also, I won a bronze in the World Championships in 1983. Again, I was the first Indian to win. And then for many years, there was no other Indian. I think Sai Praneeth won a bronze, I think maybe 20, 30, 40 years later. So
now, do you wish, all this happened like pre-social media, pre-internet, pre-TV. Do you wish there was some kind of exposure then, so that, because you've achieved so much, and at that time there was no exposure to
No, I'm happy with the way the things were. If I were to choose again, I would still want the same. While it has its advantages, I think it also has its disadvantages. So I'm basically a very quiet person, so I don't like to be in the limelight. Our lives are very personal. I'm not on any social media, not because of anything else, but I think we prefer to be like that.
Right.
So I think, so I really not missed, being in the limelight. Or, of course, for like, it would have been nice if people had seen me play, more matches that way, but not, like if they had seen my matches, I would have been happier. Because many of the tournament matches which we have played, we don't have any records of that.
Oh, wow, yeah.
A few matches are there, but not too many. So.
And it would be great to show your kids,
Pardon?
This is what I did, and this is the match I played.
Yeah.
Now, who is Prakash Padukone? If I had to ask you, what would you say?
Well, I'm like anybody else. Just
three words to describe you. Just 3 words.
Simple, grounded, and a family man.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And any advice for the upcoming players for the Olympics next year? What would you like to tell them?
Well, I think this is the right time for the sports people because like I mentioned earlier in the interview, a lot of foundations are supporting. Anybody who has talent will get recognized early. A lot of platforms for them to excel. All they need to do is this kind of support. I think will not be in any other country.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of there is a lot of opportunities. So I think it depends on themselves. How hungry they are.
Yeah.
How much they are willing to, I think these days, I don't think anybody, until at least they reach certain level, they can't complain of lack of facilities, lack of encouragement, lack of support, whether it's financial, infrastructure, somewhere or the other, they will, especially if they are recognized sports, if they're Olympic sports, they will get recognized, even at a very young age, which has probably happened in the last maybe 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Earlier, people would recognize you after you achieved something, after you won a gold or after you won in the Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, or in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But now I think a lot of foundations are focusing on the grassroots level programs. The government also has this Khelo India scholarships which they give. So they get very good support. I mean all round support is there, financial, infrastructure, equipment, foreign exposure, international tournaments in India, or if somebody has to go out, anything they need, it's there. So I think it's a good time to be so my advice would be to work really hard, be patient. I think one of the things which I think the present day sports persons lack is patience. Not just sports people but generally also.
The youth.
Yeah. Because everybody wants quick results. This is the days of like T20s. Everybody wants to start and become like in the corporate, wants to become the MD or the CEO in 5 years' time. It's not going to happen. So one has to be patient. I think same with sports also. So aim step by step. Have a lot of patience. There will be ups and downs. You will not be able to win all the time. Be moderate. When you do well in celebrations, and at the same time.
Be grounded.
And at the same time, when you're not doing well, don't get disheartened. It's all part of the growing up of a sportsman's career.
Thank you so much, sir, for the lovely stories. It was great chatting with you. And it's also nice to know that you are still part of the sport and still contributing for the betterment of the sport.
Thank you. Bye-bye.